Hi everyone, so today we're going to be talking about two different single crochet variations, specifically in the context of crochet tapestries. The first one we're going to look at is our yarn over variation, and the second is our yarn over variation. So let's get right into it and take a look at how to do those. Alright, so the first variation we're going to look at today is probably the one that most people start off with, and that is the yarn over single crochet. So this one is standard. I find that most people tend to see this one on YouTube tutorials or in books whenever they're starting to crochet, and this is the one that we tend to stick to. It is a tried and true classic, and let's just review that really quickly so we're all on the same page. Okay, so when I do something that is all single crochets, I prefer not to use a chain one before turning. It's totally up to you. I just find that it creates this very clean edge without having to do a border. So I'm going to do that here, so I'm just going to flip. I'm going to go into that top of the stitch there, and then we're going to yarn over our hook, pull through with 2 loops on the hook. We then yarn over again and pull through. Alright, so we'll look at that again. Going into the top of the stitch there, we are yarning over the hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through. We'll do that one more time. So our yarn is coming towards us over the hook, and then again yarn over. Okay, let's finish off that row and then we'll take a look at it a little closer. Okay, so if we look at it here, it's pretty textured, your standard single crochet. Let's move on to our second variation, and we will compare our 2 variations at the end so you can decide which one you'd like to use. So the second variation we're going to be looking at today is this variation, which uses yarn under and then yarn over. So let's look at how to do this. Again, I prefer not to use a chain one in my single crochet row, so I'm just going to turn. I'm going to insert into that first stitch there, and then instead of yarning over like this, I'm actually going to yarn under. I'm going to pull through. Once I've got 2 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over this time, just like that. So again, going into that stitch there, I'm going to yarn underneath like this, pull through, and this time yarn over. Again, into the stitch, we're going to yarn underneath, and then yarn over. Great, so we'll finish up that row. This one took me a little bit of time to do quickly, as I was used to the first method, but it does come quite naturally once you get the hang of it. And there we go. So that is a 10 by 10 swatch of what the yarn under, yarn over variation looks like. Okay, so let's look at our 2 variations here. So the first one I have over here is our yarn over variation, and this one over here is our yarn over variation. So side by side, you can see that there aren't any major differences between the two. However, there are some minor differences that tend to add up a little more when you're making a larger project such as a tapestry. So the first difference I want to note is the texture. So you can see on this variation, it's a little bumpier. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera there, but in person, this one feels quite a bit flatter than our first variation. The second difference I want to note is the spacing between the stitches. So in this one, you can kind of see there are a few more gaps between the stitches, and of course I did my best to keep the same gauge for both stitches. This is a consistent difference that I've noted between both of them, but essentially you can see my hand passing under this one quite a bit more than you can on this side. And again, this really does come down to your tension, how tight you're making your stitches, and also just what you are using this stitch for. So for me, for the purposes of making tapestries, I prefer to use this one, the yarn under, yarn over variation, just because when I'm carrying colors on the back, I find that they show much less than when I use this one, just because there are less gaps between the stitches. So when you're floating colors behind, it is a lot less perceivable. So that is the main difference, I would say. But again, as you can see, there isn't a huge difference. So it is really up to you. I will say this one took me a little more time to learn probably, or just get the hang of rather, just because this is the one that most people start out with. But again, if you stick to this one, give it a try, it does become a lot faster, and you might just find that you prefer it. So that is all for the video today. I hope this was helpful, and if you are just getting started with crochet tapestries, I do have a couple other videos that might be helpful for you. But if you have any questions about these stitches or anything else relating to crochet or tapestries, please leave me a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. Okay, alright, thanks for watching.